Welcome back to the shop, guys. Today I want to talk about TPMS sensors and how to train them to your Ford vehicle. Now, what's a TPMS sensor? Well, it's a tire pressure monitoring sensor that records tire pressure and tire temperature, the air temperature, and sends information back to the control module. Now, back in the day, it was the Smart Junction box. Whereas the newer vehicles, I would say 09 and newer, there's a standalone TPMS module that takes care of all this. Now you're probably wondering, why do I need to program these? Aren't they programmed from the factory and good for life? Well, not always the case. There can be interference causing issues. There can be module swap outs that are done on your vehicle. There can be programming issues as far as the software itself having bugs in the software. I've seen many times on Fusions, especially the newer Fusions, that they come in and the tire light's on, says it's a sensor fault. Well, the first thing we do is we go around and make sure each one responds to the tool. And they do it every time. So at that point you can't fail them and the vehicle's gone and you never see it again. So it can definitely be a software bug also. Now what you're going to need to do this is, on some of the vehicles you can get into the programming mode, which I'll show you here in a second, and just let some air out of each one of the tires until the horn beeps, meaning it read the sensor for that wheel. Or if your vehicle does not have that feature in its software, you're going to need this, TPMS 19. It's an activation tool to wake up the sensor and respond to the control module whenever you're programming the sensors to the vehicle. This is like $30, $40. Very, very cheap compared to generic TPMS activator, which is around $500 to $600. The reason why is this is very basic, very low power just for the Ford vehicles, and it works on the frequency that the Ford vehicles use for their sensors. Now, this will not work on the old metal stem sensors where there's the valve stem is metal, aluminum. Those ones you use a magnet around it and opens a reed switch in there and activates it and wakes it up, and that's how you do it on those. Now, the one caveat to that is that the new ones that Ford's making now for the metal sensors to replace with old ones as a service part, they do not use that reed switch anymore, and they now require this to activate them. So if it's not working, it may be one of those two issues, and you might have to try both programming options on there. And then of course you get the third option, which is letting air out of the tire on there. So for the heck of it, I haven't seen it done on the 09 Escapes yet, but I'll try the air pressure, letting the air pressure out and see if it responds. And then of course I'll show you exactly how to use this tool and get it into programming mode. Okay, now any Ford vehicle that has a TPMS system, this is the way to get it into the programming mode. You put the key in, hit the brake, let off, 1, 2, 3, okay, hit the brake again, let off, turn it off, 1, 2, 3, and you'll hear the horn. That tells you you're in programming mode for standard clusters, and then for the upgraded clusters, you can see right there, it says the train, the left front tire. It'll tell you which one to train on there. So let's go outside and start training these. So we're going to go over here, and you always start with the left front and just work clockwise around the vehicle. So you take your sensor, here's the sensor itself on the stem. Now if you don't have the stem mounted one, you have a band type sensor, it'll be the opposite 180 of the valve stem for weight reasons. This one has a stem mounted one, so we'll just put the sensor, the activation tool, like this. It'll beep, and then we'll go over to the next one. It's right here. Now, the one went, this one. Now, the one telltale that your batteries are starting to fail in the sensor itself from age, they go about 150,000 miles before they're dead. 10 years, 150,000 miles, and that's what they're designed for, lithium-ion batteries in there. What you'll notice is the module takes forever to respond to the sensor when you're activating it. That's one of the telltales. And do this one. And then you'll see up in your cluster, it'll tell you that the training is complete. At this point, you simply just turn your key off, and that's it. You're programmed. Now, what I'll show you now is how to do it with the tire, just releasing air pressure out of the tire until it beeps also. We'll try that. Like I said, I started seeing this in 09 F-150s, I believe. Maybe it was 2011, and then and newer. Started being able to do this. So we'll try it on the 09 Escape for the heck of it. Okay, let's do it again, and we'll try the air pressure technique. Same thing, I'll show you from a different angle here. Putting the key in, hit the brake, 1, 2, 3, ending in run. Hit the brake, off, 1, 2, 3, boom, we're in programming mode. Okay, now with this technique, you simply unscrew the cap, and you push in the valve stem so you can get some air pressure out of there. Now you see by this point it should have beeped already the same way it did before with the tire activation tool. At this point we're letting way too much air out already, so we know the 09 Escapes do not do this. Like I said, I thought this started becoming available as an option on the 11 F-150s and changed out from there to other models, you know, expanded to other models. And that's how simple it is to train the sensors on these vehicles. Like I said, there's a few caveats for the early models and for the metal stem mounted ones and the new rubber mounted ones, which I have right here. And this is how all the new ones are. And you can tell by this little shoulder right here on it, see if you can see it on there, that's how you know if that's a tire pressure sensor that's stem mounted like that. Went back to rubber because the old ones were just rotting away. Bad idea. So if you have any questions on your type, for your particular model, you can message me. I'll link down below for this little tool here. It says $38, I believe. It's great to have around the shop for family and friends to help them out also. It'll pay for itself in the long run.